Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
Let me ask you this. I reposted your post. I don't know if you saw it today, where you talked about strategy of I think that's like what Fernando was telling us too, where you get the property, you refinance it. It was a whole thing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, pretty much that's the BRRRR method, right? That's the method that we started when we first started in Jersey, right? We used to pick up properties for $80,000, put $50,000-$60,000 into them. They were appraised anywhere but between $250,000 to $280,000. You would refinance, rent the property, take that money out, and just keep on buying more property, right? That method doesn't work in the tri-state anymore. It's almost impossible. But you could do it in the Midwest. You could do it in Ohio. You could do it in Chicago. You could do it in Milwaukee. You could probably still do it in Detroit. Those markets, it works because the values are so low that you can still buy the properties at a discount, put some value into it, fix them, rent them, refinance, take that money out, and then buy another 5-10 houses.
For both New York,
my bad, sir. Go ahead.
New York, the prices are just too inflated to actually have that level of appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, New York, New Jersey, it ain't happening. You know, you can still get some rental properties and still make some cash flow right now in New York, New Jersey. And Connecticut is actually a little bit lower than New York and New Jersey. But besides that, Midwest is where it's at right now as far as opportunity. That's the market that we're killing.
Yeah. Based on the examples, obviously you use leverage to your advantage. I wonder at what point did that become the strategy, or was that always the method that you went to about acquiring your properties? And how can somebody who's new to real estate use leverage, and what type of leverage could they use to their advantage?
It just depends on the deal, right? When I first started, I didn't know anything. So my first couple properties, I used to get stuck. I put all the money in, and then I was stuck till I sold or refinanced the property. And then eventually I learned about private financing and leveraging my money, and that's when I took off. I still do to this day a lot of hard money loans. I only got to put 10% down. Sometimes I get 100% just because of my resume, and I don't got to put no money up. So my whole thing is leverage. I like to buy as much as possible with as little as possible. But you definitely have to pick your markets for that to actually work, right? And tri-state area is too tough to do that here right now.
And I think with our community, I think the one thing that we did or our parents taught us is they made it feel like you had to pay your stuff off, right? Yeah. So if you had to buy a house, you had to pay for that house. Then you had to use all your money for construction. And that's what I used to do when I first started real estate. I thought I had to use my own money, and I thought it made me feel better. But then when I realized with all that work, I was only buying one house. And then talking to Caesar, he was like, well, if you really think about it, if you put 10% down on each property or 20% each property, instead of making this amount of money for just one house, now you're buying 6 houses.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people that with too. Like a lot of people like, oh, yo, I'm buying my car out in full. Okay, you can. That's not going to be me. I'd rather put a percent down and do what I have to do and use an investment to pay for that car than just buy a car in full. Having a title really means nothing to me. It really doesn't. Having that investment pay for that car, or having that investment pay for that other property, or having that investment pay for my child's college, that's more important to me. Because at the end of the day, if something happens to that one car, it gets into that accident, the amount that value drops, it's not worth it. Yeah. So I tell people that all the time. You don't need to buy that car or that house flat out. That doesn't make any sense.
How do you balance that versus having too much debt? Let's say if you guys have 400 doors, and let's say you have debt on 380 of them. How do you not go crazy at night worrying about if, the loan will get called or the economy? Can you walk people through that who may not see that?
Or if people stop paying their rent. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. During the pandemic, when the governor got on the radio or TV and says, you don't have to pay your rent, motherfuckers didn't pay their rent. And when it got to the point where people were working and not paying the rent.
Yeah.
Like, because now it's a scam. They're like, oh, I don't have to pay the rent. The governor just said, and that was difficult. For Section 8, it didn't matter because they still got their money every month. And a lot of people were like, that's why I do Section 8. Me, I don't do Section 8 for a lot of it because a lot of times I got dancers that live in my properties. I have landscapers that live in my property. I have local pharmaceutical people that live in my properties. So a lot of them can't have Section 8. So
ballerinas.
I'm being honest.
He's referring to
he told them like ballet dances, you know.
Yeah, ballet dances, right? So I have people living in my properties. So we had to figure it out. So we had to, fill out the proper forms to get people out. And, when they open it back up and allow people to start coming out, it was good. But that's why we always say, make sure you buy under market value.
Always.
Buy under market value. So if you have 7 tenants and 4 of them are not paying, 2 of them are taking care of your bills and your rent. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't affected by it because we followed the things that we teach. That's what we tell every time. If you buy at retail prices, you're gonna get burnt. There's not enough meat on that bone to save you when shit happens. And we were able to be okay from it.
Yeah. And for us, it's simple numbers, right? Across all of our units, right? We always like to net anywhere between $800 to $1,200, depending on the market. So we always have that cushion, right? If I can net per door $800 to $1,200, I won't do it. But the market, right? Everything else is changing, but the market has been so awesome right now for us, right? Because rents are high, right? That, we're actually probably netting anywhere between, I want to say now, $1,400 to $1,600 per door. So even if, we have 100 people that don't pay the rent tomorrow, we're still good. It doesn't really affect us. And even now when people tell me I want to move, I'm already dancing because now I can raise the rent.
Raise the price, yeah.
Right? As soon as they go, I'm like, oh man, you want to leave? Hell yeah, I want you to leave. Before I used to be like a couple of years ago, it was like, please don't leave, just renew your lease. Now it's like, we're clapping when anybody moves out.
For both of you.
Go ahead, Ian. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you good. From a company perspective, like in terms of your partnership and your family, what's the ideal number of doors that you guys want to own? Because I tell them all the time, Buffett has the number 1 real estate company. Most people don't know he has tens of thousands of doors. What's a number you guys are comfortable sharing with how many doors you're trying to get to when it's all said and done?
For myself, there is no number. Because I'll be honest with you, it doesn't matter to me. When I say it doesn't matter to me, is because I'm not the person that's going out there collecting the rent. I got property managers. It doesn't matter if I own 100 or 1,000. I have people running those businesses. And that's the main thing that you say. If you look at any of the people that you name, they are the head. They got people under them running the businesses. You look at Jay-Z and Rock Nation. Jay-Z has so many different things in Rock Nation. He has different people put in places to run different part of those companies, whether it's Emery running the Puma division, or it's Tata running the artist division, or it's Lenny S running the A&R division. They just have to check in and make sure the business is running right. That's what I put my daughter in place to be. She will run that part of the business. So I'm trying to get as many doors as possible. There is no minimum to me. At first, it was only 100, and then we got 100, and then it was to 200. And then we got to 200. Now I'm at 360 doors. And then I look over at this guy, and then he's talking, he got over 3,000 doors. And it make me feel like so minuscule.
Wait, what? You got 3,000 doors?
Yeah. Right now, nationwide, we're at 3,000 between what we have cash flowing and everything that we got approved and that we're building now. My goal used to be, when I first started, 100 units. Same thing, hit 500, hit 1,000. This year, I was like, you know what? The market's slowing up a little bit. I'm probably going to only add maybe 300, 400 extra doors. I'm already going to I'm on my way right to adding another 1,000 this year. So
you only going to add 300.
Just casually.
That's amazing.
No, every year I try to double, triple the number. Right now I'm saying 5,000, then I'm going to slow down. Right by that point, my daughter start taking over the day to day. But I could see myself trying to hit 10,000, And
I tell them that's the number of shares that you need in stocks to be free. So that number matches up. Like, why do you think more guys in the entertainment industry don't listen? Like, I get a chance to talk to them now. They don't listen to me. They don't listen to y'all. Why do you think more people, and there's people y'all like grew up with that don't listen? Like, why do you think that is, or what is the fear surrounding that?
I don't understand them. And I speak to so many people. I have athletes call me. I have entertainers call me, right? And let's say in the last couple of years, especially since I'm at Envy, let's say if I spoke to about 30 people in the industry between music and, in sports, out of those 30 people, probably only 5 took action and actually did something, right? And then the other 25 pretty much just wasted my time and energy, right? Because you sit there, you explain to these guys, but the problem is what I noticed though, guys that are out, they're on their way out to retirement, right? In any field, those are the guys that'll probably do something and actually try to change, what their income at that point, because their income is going to change. The guys that are like on top of the world right now, those are the guys that they're just wasting your time.
Well, I put it to you like this. When I first started with real estate, right? If you follow me, you know that I'm really cool with Clue. I'm really cool with Fabulous. And I was really cool with Joe at one time. So when I started with the real estate.
Joe Button?
Yeah,
Shout out to Joe Corey. It's a scam.
He said that one time.
No, it was. I mean, we don't speak. So I mean, there's no stab. It's being facts. So when I first started, I called each one of them. Right? I called Clue, who's my brother. Yo, I'm getting into real estate and I'm doing well. We should do some stuff together. They didn't understand it. And I remember calling Joe. Joe told me it sounded like a scam. And I called Fab and Fab didn't get it. And a lot of times we don't get it because that's not how we raised. Like it's hard to tell somebody, hey, we should take this money and invest in this when they don't necessarily get it. So when anybody calls now, I'm saying if you're not willing to come with me in these projects, step over these heroin needles, walk through Patterson, Detroit, Chicago, wherever. If you're not willing to actually walk with me, then I don't want to speak to you. Because see, for me, what got it is I'm able to walk to those places and understand what's going on. So I can actually explain it to my daughter. So I can actually see what's going on. When it comes to things I don't understand, I tell everybody, I'm a 3-year-old kid. I'm going to ask as many questions as possible. There's no stupid questions. I want to know, why this? Caesar, why is a majority of your houses the same color? Why is the majority of your flooring the same? You get the answers. Why? Because I buy in bulk, Envy. If I buy in bulk, I'm going to store it in a factory and just use that same color all the time. I'm going to buy the flooring in bulk. So when the world is looking for flooring and paint and lumber and this, that, and the other, we have warehouses full of them. A matter of fact, not even warehouses. This is another reason. In some of the houses that we own, I was like, Caesar, why don't you rent out the garages? I didn't know that. That's Caesar's storage. I don't want to say that because now people will be like, oh, damn, that's where the lumber is. But that's his storage. That's where he keeps a lot of his supplies. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is free storage. This is free places to put things. But those are the questions that I ask, and I continue to ask those questions. Like, I was the guy that was putting all my money down. Caesar, how are you doing this? Envy, instead of doing this, put this much money down. Use this. Use your leverage to get this. Use this. I ask as many questions as possible. But to answer your question, I think a lot of people, they don't think about it until their career starts to slow down and they can't pay their bills. They can't have those cars. They can't take those trips. They can't spend 30, 40,000 in a strip club. They can't do that anymore. Then it's like, well, what's next for me? And a lot of times it's too late.
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda,
This
what's
that
good?
Red Panda Anthem. Whole foot going up. I know they can't stand it.